So, you've decided to buy a house. There could be a variety of factors that have led you to this point. Among them, the irritation of moving every so often and perhaps not having the freedom to do what you want with your space. But have you contemplated all of the costs associated with buying a property? Part of that, of course, is the cost of the loan that you will invariably have to take. That's what I'd like to talk about on this episode of MoneyWise. First, we'll spell out all of the costs that you may not have considered, and then we'll also talk about how you can optimize your finances so that you can knock that home loan off as quickly as possible. My guest today is Mohit Gang, the co-founder and chief executive officer of Moneyfront. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much, Alex. Always a pleasure.
So I know that a lot of people think about this. In fact, more often than not, they spend a lot of time thinking about when they will buy a house. It's a major life goal for a lot of people. But then I've also found when I've had conversations with them that they haven't accounted for all of the costs. Of course, people talk about stamp duty, registration. So let's list out all of the costs first, and then we'll talk about each of them in detail. In your opinion, and you have bought a house as well, so you're the best person right now to talk about it with me. Think about it as giving me all of this information. What are the various costs associated with setting up a house?
All right. So look, yes, though I took my home a long while back,
Yes.
It was 2011
Right.
when I actually purchased my first property in Mumbai. But yes, I think the biggest cost is stamp duty and registration.
Yeah.
In a city like Mumbai, if you are a male owner, it goes up to 7.15% aggregate, all sundry costs put together, stamp duty, registration, some sundry costs of registering and so on and so forth. And if you are a women owner, then you obviously get 1% benefit in your
Right.
stamp duty. So I think it's around 6.15 if I'm not wrong, the aggregate of all stamp duty
What
and
if it's
registration.
a combined ownership?
Even then it is 7.15.
Okay.
Right. And in fact,
Oh, it's
not,
more. It's more if
it's more, even if you're combined. So
Oh.
only if you are a sole women owner of a property, not just in Mumbai or Maharashtra. I think it's
Across the board.
across in quite a number of states, right? So women owners do get certain amount of advantages. And then that's just one part of it. The brokerage cost, if you are dealing through a broker, which most of us do, right? That could vary from 0.5 to 1%. Furnishing the flat, Alex, I think this is something which we don't account for. We just look at the
Ticket
purchase
price.
value, the ticket price, and so on and so forth. But furnishing the flat can take anywhere from 10% to 20% depending on your taste, your preferences, the kind of furnishings do you need. And I'm talking of a bare shelf flat out here, which you procure and then you have to put in everything.
So like your modular kitchen and your air conditioning and
Absolutely, your
various other aspects.
cupboards and your
Right.
white goods, and I'm just taking the basic ones out here. I'm not like really going for some fancy, crazy stuff which might just go take the cost to around 25% of your purchase value. But yeah, 10 bare minimum, 20 is a more realistic estimate of what you put into a house to make it livable. And then my sense is then you have property maintenance, which kicks off if you're living in a society, depending on the flat, the kind of facilities and amenities which you have. You will have a property maintenance, which also in a city like Mumbai is crazy. But yeah, that's something which, again, most of us don't account for because that continues to hit you along with your EMIs.
If you have, the more amenities you have and the larger your society, in all
Yes.
probability, you're going to be paying a hefty
Yes.
amount.
That's one. And the last part is the property tax, which you'll have to pay to your municipality every quarter. So yeah, these are all the costs which are associated.
So anywhere between 10 and 25% on an average, more than, no, actually more than that, because you're talking about stamp duty as well, right? So 7.5, and then another 10 to 20% over and above
Absolutely.
that.
That's right upfront.